Hey guys, welcome to my show. Welcome to my channel. My name is Jane Lawrence, and without waste of time, should you give in to the urge to have sex on the first date? I have no time to waste. Let's get into it right now, real quick. I will give you reasons why it may not be too good for you as a woman and as a man. Number one, it's been drilled into our psyche. We're pretty much hardwired not to have sex on the first date. For women, it's because of the whole wife-whore dichotomy, wherein we believe that putting out too soon would deem us as non-wife material, and therefore just another lay. Okay? For the men, on the other hand, your date might just think that sex is all that you're really after. So if you don't want to risk what most of society would deem as behavior suited to the most promiscuous of people, then having sex with someone you have just had your first date with is not for you. But if you don't care about any of that, and why should you? Then that's a whole different argument altogether. Number two, your date doesn't know your body yet. I mean, it takes time to get to know someone's body, from their little quirks to their ultra erogenous zones. It's highly unlikely that your date will go all Sherlock Holmes on you and really figure out where best to touch you. So the sex is highly unlikely to be mind-blowing and more likely to be awkward, except you just want to have the wham bam thank you kind of sex with him, where it is just the joystick and the juicy part doing a meet and greet. Then that's fine. All right, listen, first dates can be awkward enough as it is, so having someone figure out your body on a first date can be very, very daunting sometimes. So just imagine how much more awkward it would be to start fumbling in the dark while not knowing how to even please your partner. Do you get my drift? Number three, it might just make it seem easy, because the truth is that all relationships have milestones. From the first date to the first kiss to the first time that you see each other naked. So having sex at the first instance, it just basically eliminates that particular milestone, since it will be all over in the first 12 or so hours. Also, some people treat sex like a conquest, a challenge to overcome. So if you yield to your sexual desire too early, then your date might either think that you're an easy lay that doesn't even need the promise of a next date, or that you're just looking for a no-string attachment relationship. Do you understand? Do you get the drift? Number four, waiting is a great form of foreplay. Honestly, waiting is a great form of foreplay. You know how it is when you watch a romantic TV show and you want the two characters to just get it on. And if they do that within the first few, episodes, there is not much else to really look forward to. It's the same thing with, first date sex. Sexual tension can build up and cause a lot of excitement. So you have to wait for signs as you get to know each other better. You flirt and you make eye contact with each other, also subtly touch each other. So when all of that tension has built up, you explode into a frenzy of passion. But if there is not a lot of anticipation for sex, the potential to have an explosion of passion just basically fizzles out. Okay? Number five, you may just confuse lust with love when having sex on a first date. See, there is a thin line between love and lust, and sex is what causes you to tilt the balance and make you go blind. And just starting off with some conversation and moving on to sex can lead you to confuse your sexual attraction with genuine attraction. There is a difference, honestly. So getting all hot and bothered can bring out a surge of hormones that make you feel elated and ecstatic, all right? And this can make you think that you're happy when you're around your date, when in fact your body is just reacting to the promise of sex. So by removing sex from the equation at the start, your feelings are based only on your mental and emotional connection. And since your hormones can wreak havoc on your mind when you have sex, your physical attraction may start to override your emotional connection, thus making you think you're in love when you're just actually in lust. Okay? So, and then when you get into it, when you have the sex all done, especially for the man, when he's done with the sex, everything is over and done and dusted, he sees you like someone who is cheap or too easy to get. And then that you start to feel hurt because you're catching feelings when you're not supposed to catch feelings. So you have to be really careful about that, especially if you're with a guy that you're so attracted to, you really crushed on for a long time, and you're getting it really off on a first date. You have to stabilize that relationship before you get into sex. If not, you will be hurting yourself. Now, number 6, of course, you should always practice safe sex. All right? Because sometimes accidents happen no matter how careful we are. Can you imagine if that happened with someone you've just met? An accident, an unplanned pregnancy, or an STD, or an STI. These are some of the things that you don't want to experience with someone whom you have only had a conversation with or a great night of sex with. Why complicate your life? Just wait a while. Number 7, let's face it, sex can be a deal breaker. Honestly, you can be dating someone for months and everything just goes fine and everything is just cool. But once you finally get it on, you might learn that you're completely incompatible in the bedroom. Sometimes this can put a strong emotional strain on your relationship that you eventually break up on the grounds that you're no longer attracted to the person as a whole. So the first date is basically a compatibility test. If you both pass each other's conversational and life story criteria, then the next logical step would be the sex criteria. Now, the problem is when the love is not yet developed between you two and you both just dive into sex and boom, there you see the flaws and the incompatibility. That would invariably be the end of something that could have been more if only you took the time to get to know each other's needs and wants way down to sex from only just conversing. If you give time to have a conversation with someone and you form a bond, you basically would know where you are compatible at or where you're not. And you talk about it. Where there is a room for you guys to compromise, you compromise. Because relationships are all about compromising, or relationships are all about compromise. All right? So it is more likely that you will be incompatible on the first date because you don't know yourselves well enough. But that compatibility will be formed after weeks or months of taking out time to talk and bond. Because once you're talking and you're bonding, love is being formed. And where there is love, the flaws are reduced. Do you get what I mean? So these are some of the reasons why I think that, you should hold out on sex. Just get to know each other. I feel like, most of the relationships that tend to end really quickly are relationships that started off sexually. So, but if you give time to court, to really, and when I mean court, we're not courting like in the 80s or like when like our forefathers did in the 60s and 70s, where you're courting and the goal wasn't sex at all. And that's why their relationships lasted longer. Women are more enduring, men are more patient, and more loving. Men are, there are no exit rooms. There are no exits when it comes to relationship. It was more or less like death do us part, no matter how badly it was. But nowadays, we don't get that sort of attitude to marriages or to relationships because we're not patient. We never are patient to get to know each other. We're always quick to allow our feelings lead us instead of our minds, our head. Instead of using our heads, we use our feelings, our emotions. We're quick to satisfy the flesh. And the quicker you satisfy your flesh in your relationship, the faster your relationship dies, because there is no solid foundation that has been built for it to stand on. What rock are you building your relationship on? You have to build just like a house. A house cannot stand if it's just built on a flat earth surface. You have to dig down. You have to dig a foundation. So what's the foundation? If your foundation is already baseless, based on sex, no conversation. Because the truth is that when you start having sex too early in your relationship, you would not have that time to talk. You reduce your chances of getting to know each other. You reduce your chances of actually sitting down and looking at this person, talking to them, getting to know where they're coming from, their mindset, where they've been, where they're going to, their goals, aspirations, and all of that. You do not have that time to talk. You do not know if you're mentally compatible, if you're spiritually compatible. We're not talking about physical compatibility, because that can be figured out after all of the spiritual, mental, and psychological. Mental is the same thing as psychological. All of those things have been figured out. Physical can come as a result of you bonding spiritually, mentally, and what again? This is me encouraging you that no matter how sexually starved, no matter how much your G-spot is scratching you, no matter how much your frenulum is itching you to dig it into a juicy pot, please wait. Wait and get to know each other very well so that you can build a foundation for which that can last. But if it's just a one-night thing that you want, one-night stand that you want to scratch and itch, then go on and do that. But bear the consequences. And also, remember that if you're doing that, you need to do it with someone who is mature. There are some babies out there in adult clothing, okay? All right, then. This is where we end it until I come your way. When I come your way, do know that I love you and God loves you best. Is my mic on? Okay. See you when I see you. Aha.